This week, President Trump dramatically escalated his trade offensive, rolling out tariff threats, confirming major rate hikes, and bringing some of America's largest trading partners into the fray. Let's break down everything that happened in what may be the most chaotic week in global trade since Trump returned to office. The week began with markets pulling back from record highs. The Dow dropped over 400 points, the S&P 500 slipped 0.8%, and the Nasdaq fell nearly 1% after Trump unveiled 25% tariffs on imports from Japan and South Korea, with more letters sent to South Africa, Malaysia, and Thailand. Trump also warned that any country supporting BRICS would face an additional 10% tariff, citing anti-American policies. Only the UK, Vietnam, and a framework deal with China had been reached, leaving much of the world exposed ahead of the July 9th deadline for suspended April tariffs to potentially snap back. On Tuesday, Trump used a cabinet meeting to confirm a 50% tariff on copper imports, matching existing duties on steel and aluminium. Copper prices briefly spiked over 10% before retreating. He also floated a 200% tariff on imported pharmaceuticals, giving companies up to 18 months to adjust. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said copper duties would be implemented by the end of July. Wednesday saw a fresh batch of letters, this time to Brazil, the Philippines, Algeria, Iraq, Moldova, Libya, Brunei, and Sri Lanka. Brazil was the biggest headline. Trump issued a 50% tariff on all Brazilian imports, not for economic reasons, but to protest the trial of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. "It is a witch hunt," Trump wrote. "It should end immediately." Copper prices dropped over 3% that day, and new pressure from BRICS countries, especially China and India, added to the volatility. By Friday, the Treasury Department confirmed a record-breaking $26.6 billion in June tariff revenue, up from $22.2 billion in May, with $108 billion collected so far this fiscal year. Yet, that still made up a small slice of the U.S. quote. Total government receipts, which hit $526 billion for the month. Markets were mostly stable, with the S&P 500 staying flat for the week and tech stocks posting new highs. Trump declared, "The big money starts August 1st. To close out the week, Trump announced 30% tariffs on Mexico and the European Union, America's two largest trading partners. The EU warned of countermeasures, with von der Leyen and Macron calling for swift retaliation if no deal is reached. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum said talks are ongoing and expressed optimism that a deal could be reached to avoid disruption. Trump also warned both parties, "Any tariffs you raise on US goods will be matched and added to our own rates." Outside of tariffs, Trump allies ramped up pressure on Fed Chair Jerome Powell, criticizing a $2.5 billion renovation of the Fed's headquarters and accusing him of misleading Congress. Budget Director Russell Voughton, Trump appointees at the National Capital Planning Commission, called for oversight, audits, and even Powell's removal for cause. Powell defended the renovations as mischaracterized and emphasized they were fully approved and in compliance. With the August 1st deadline now firm and no more extensions in sight, the world is watching to see which countries strike last-minute deals and which ones get hit with 10% to 50% tariffs across the board. Analysts expect many final rates to settle in the 10–30% range, but with this administration, the only real certainty is continued volatility. For daily clarity on the chaos, subscribe to DataDropDaily, your AI-powered business and economic news wrap-up in under 5 minutes.